Hello, it's me, Kat Faraci. I'm here with big grief questions, hopefully to answer some of the questions that you're having in grief to the best of my ability. I have 25 years professional experience with hospice, working with thousands of grieving people, and also with the terminally ill. And I have also experienced my own losses between the ages of 11 and 30. I lost 14 loved ones, one after another. So I do have a lot of personal experience with grief and professional. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I'm giving it the best I got. And if you have questions and I don't know, then we'll go on the journey together to figure it out. So if you have some questions about your grief and what's normal, what's not, unique experiences, whatever it is, I'm pretty sure others will benefit from your questions as well. So put them below in the comments. I'll be looking at them and doing another video on them, or you can reach me directly at biggriefquestions@balanceinGrief.com. You can always find me on my website at balanceinggrief.com. You can learn more about me. I'm a grief coach and I'm the founder of Balance in Grief, and you can see what I'm doing. And you can pick up some free tip sheets on grief and different techniques that'll be helpful for you. You can also get my curriculum that's on there. It's called Best Grief Curriculum. And BEST is an acronym that goes through what the brain is doing through grief, what what we need to examine about ourselves in grief, the self-care that's important in grief, and techniques. So that's where the best comes from. Best Grief Curriculum. It has a workbook as well. You can also pick up my book, Grief the Teacher. You can find this on Amazon or Kindle, and I hope you would check it out. So with that said, let's get on with our question for today. It's kind of a takeoff from the most recent previous video. And this question is, why do others seem to move on while I still hurt? Now, the last question is how do I move on without my loved one? And this one is, why do others seem to move on while I still hurt? And I got to tell you, this question is a very charged issue for bereaved, because we're looking at how others are reacting to maybe the same loss that we have had. You're just a different family member. And I frankly think that it's really based on judgment, that when we are grieving, we are judging others for how they grieve, and we are concerned about how they are judging us for how we grieve. Okay. And frankly, how one grieves is unique to you, completely unique to you. It's based on your personal relationship with your loved one, and it's based on your own emotional bent, how you express yourself. Are you more stoic? Are you more touchy-feely? Do you express yourself privately in your emotions, or are you more public about it? You just like to share with everybody. And sometimes how we express our grief is based on our belief systems. What do we believe about grief and death and life after death? So that will have an effect on how we grieve. Uh, your time availability, there are too many people that have gone through significant loss and frankly do not have the time to be able to express themselves and work through their grief. It's a terrible thing about our society. I mean, if you're lucky, you have a job that'll give you what, 3 days off once your spouse died? Um, or your child or your parent? Come on. Like, we got to do better as a society. And for many of us, we just can't afford to miss work. So we got to show back up. And so time makes a difference on how we're grieving. And then, maybe your crisis management style. How do you handle crisis altogether? Do you get very overwhelmed, or are you a kind of a go to it, let's make lists and figure it out? It's just kind of who you are as a person that is going to determine, you know, if you're able to appear to be moving on while others may be appearing to grieving more deeply. And I just want to point out here that I'm a very stoic person, okay? And part of that is because of what I experienced in my childhood. My first big loss was my Auntie Joe, who I was very close with, and I was 11 years old. And then the year after that was my grandma. And then the year after that, my mom got diagnosed with what killed my Auntie Joe. So, cancer. So, boom, 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 boom. And this went on until I was 30. And I have to say that I just learned how to move through the motions of life and pretend that it wasn't affecting me and avoiding the actual pain I was experiencing. And nobody was talking to me about it. So, you know, it kind of created in me to be a very stoic person. You just shove those feelings down and you keep going. Okay. For someone on the outside looking in, they may look at me and say, is she even feeling this? When for me as a private crier, I would just keep going and going and going and going until one day, it would all build up and I'm, standing in the shower and all of a sudden the sobs come and I'm letting the shower just wash away the tears as I stand in there and just sob and wail. And so it's not that I don't feel or that I've moved on. I'm just being very private about it. Okay. Others wouldn't see that. So I want you to be very careful in your questioning about, why does it appear others are moving on when I'm still hurting? We shouldn't be judging each other at all about how we are expressing ourselves in our grief. What may appear to you as someone being able to move on is just somebody getting through the day until they have a moment to feel what they feel. Have you ever watched a Hallmark commercial? And those commercials are made to just really tug at the heartstrings. And for some people who watch them, they're just they see that those wonderful moments on Hallmark and the expressions of love, and it's just so touching. And they can bring a tear to your eye. For me, because of what I experienced and how private I am, I look at them as being a little over dramatic. Are they? No. Are they touchy feely? Yes. Is my way of looking at a Hallmark commercial the only correct way? No. Is someone expressing themselves and their emotion and getting a tear in their eye inappropriate? Heck no. Totally appropriate. They should be feeling that way. So again, it just points out that each one of us are very different in our expression. So when you question, why does it look like others are moving on when I still feel pain? Just don't judge. They're probably feeling great pain as well. They just have a different way. And by the same token, they should not be judging you for being more expressive, for crying a lot, for being easily drawn to your tears, for feeling overwhelmed or overcome at any moment of the day with your grief, for wanting to talk about your loved one a lot, for having a desire to be able to memorialize them in many ways, maybe setting up a little something in your home, or creating albums, or doing different things that are important to you to express your grief. No one should judge you for that. No one. So I think the answer to the question is, we as a bereaved community need to be able to just let each other be uniquely us, to be able to grieve authentically to who we are, and to appreciate when others allow us to express ourselves the way we express ourselves. There's just really no other way of looking at that. So I'm going to encourage you not to judge others the way that they are grieving and feel like you're doing it wrong, or you're doing it worse, or that your loved one meant more to you than they meant to the other. That's just not true. It's just not true. So I hope this was helpful for you, just to get a balance in how you are grieving, how you perceive this question, how you are looking at others grieving, how others are looking at you grieving, and how you are judging yourself for how you grieve. Don't do that. Don't judge yourself. Just feel your feels. Be who you are. Take the time you need. Give yourself all the space for grief that you need to express in the ways that make you feel the most comfort that you possibly can, given the circumstances. Okay. I hope that's helpful. If you have more questions about what I've talked about today, please put them in the comments. If you don't like what I said, I'd like to hear what you think about what I've said. Or maybe it has spurred on more questions for you. Please go ahead, put them in the comments. Let's have a conversation about this. Let's not be afraid to say what it is that we need to say. Again, you can find me at Balancing Grief, or you can reach me at Big Grief Questions at balancinggrief.com. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I love you.